Rats Mangold, too dumb and bigoted to know that these are Arabic numerals.
Elementary school students to learn. Zoran Mandami is expected to require all New York elementary school students to learn Arabic numerals? This is happening faster than I thought.
It's a joke. There's no way he's being sincere. It's bait. There, like, he's not. You guys literally, if you think this is real, like, if you think this is his real response, and for those of you who don't know, Arabic numerals are, the numbers, okay? If you think that Asmongold is that dumb, you don't understand why I say he's a fucking grifter. Brother, Asmongold worked for the IRS, okay? Like, yeah, he's not very knowledgeable about politics and shit, but he's not that stupid. He knows what Arabic numerals are. He's just fucking around. He's trying to bait people, most likely.
Oh, my God. Trump has more harsh words for House
That's
Democrats.
insane.
So get this. The president is angered by a Washington newspaper's report saying that some Democratic lawmakers released a video urging members of the military to ignore unlawful orders. In fact, look at this. Trump said on Truth Social this morning, "This is really bad and dangerous to our country. Their words cannot be allowed to stand. Seditious behavior from traitors. Lock them up." And then, a short time later, the president finished with this thought: seditious behavior, punishable by death. Heavy words there. Let's talk about them. CBS News White House reporter Willie James Inman joins us now from the White House. So, Willie, take us through what prompted these posts from the president. He is clearly triggered by something.
Yeah, that's right, Reed. Well, this video was posted on social media. Democratic lawmakers who also served in the military posting this message to troops, saying essentially that they don't have to follow an unlawful order. Then you saw Trump's response, posting the Washington Examiner article about that social media post, and calling for these Democratic officials, saying that their behavior is seditious and punishable by death. Now, we are seeing a response from House Democratic leadership who are calling on the president to take this post down. They go into a statement. They say they condemn the president's disgusting and dangerous death threats against members of Congress and call on the House Republicans to forcefully do the same. They then go on to, as I mentioned, call the president to take the post down, calling it an unhinged social media post, and for him to recant his violent rhetoric before someone gets killed. Now, I'll note.
This is so psychotic. MBS bent his ear. Days after Donald Trump hosts MBS, he says Democratic veterans in Congress urging U.S. service members not to obey illegal orders are engaging in seditious behavior punishable by death. Yeah, this is worse than your Rick Scott take. Yeah, he's the president. Of course it's worse. When the president says something, it's basically seen as like a decree. So yeah, everything he fucking says of this sort is automatically going to be worse than that. He says seditious behavior is punishable by death. It is. What did he say that was a lie? And what names did he name? Seditious behavior punishable by death when it's directed at the Democratic Party for saying a correct statement about how the military has an obligation to not follow illegal rules. That's the problem. Because he's not talking about something that is actually seditious. I'll give you another example. Democrats have also talked about, explaining to people their rights against unlawful search and seizure. And ICE considers that to be a major problem. ICE gets very mad when Democrats like AOC explain to undocumented, documented migrants and also U.S. citizens what their rights actually are, because ICE is in violation of those people's rights and their constitutionally protected liberties. So if Trump were to turn around and say, "Oh, it should be illegal to tell people what their rights are against unlawful search and seizures, punishable by death," because it's, treason. That would be fucked up on Trump's part, not on the part of people telling people what the laws are. You get what I'm saying? The Democrats aren't doing anything wrong in this circumstance. They're not actually trying to foment seditious behavior. They're just telling the military what the actual laws are, what the actual rules are. This is taught in the military. You have no obligation to follow an unlawful order. You could be court-martialed, you could be tried, but ultimately, you will not be fucking killed or jailed indefinitely for not following for refusing to follow an unlawful order. It's in the rules. What is this? Paying for my groceries and pay. Oh, Jesus.
And even though we've made incredible progress, we understand that there's a lot more work to do. And the thing that I'd ask for the American people is a little bit of patience. This economy, and even the...
Oh, it's great. That's great. Larry Kudlow humiliates himself. I think affordability is overrated. Wow, these guys are doing great. I think this is going to be a very good message to put out there. I think they're going to win with this and win big. Let's take a look at what Larry Kudlow is saying.
There are issues on some of these prices, although I think affordability is greatly overrated.
Yeah. Guys, affordability, just give us some time. Or the affordability arguments are, give us some time, be patient. Affordability is overrated. Affordability is not even a problem. It's fucking awesome. The Brandon method. Affordability is overrated, non-problem. They will solve in time. Ultimately, it comes down to just stop being poor. Why would they do affordability when they could just lie Lamau? Or why would they do affordability when they can tackle everybody transgender? A lot of people are not understanding that you could just simply tackle everybody transgender, right? That's the major thing to tackle. Everybody transgender, no affordability, move on from the demands for affordability, really. Well, who cares? Who cares about affordability? Everybody transgender. Love it. Love that this is basically more violent, base-boosted Brandonization. More violent and more racist, more bigoted Brandonization. Everything computer, everybody transgender. Let's give another $40 billion to Argentina. Okay, no tackling any of the issues. No issues need to be tackled. Who cares? What do people do for work? What do you mean? In America, we just kind of sit around and wait. We call this the Will Stancil method. Yeah, it was very effective with the Brandon regime, so I assume it'll be even more effective with the Trump regime. Also, of course, there's also this.
One man had a dream. A dream his life was meant for more than serving fries. Trump didn't just see Greece. He saw greatness. He didn't just see a fryer. He saw a fresh start for America. This is the tale of the American dream, where nothing is impossible.
Look at the crowd over there. Look how happy everybody is. They're happy because they want hope. They need hope.
Two sides of the same man, two chapters of the same story, from the Golden Arches to the Golden Age.
It is my honor to introduce to you the 45th and the 47th President of the United States, Donald J. Trump.
His list of accomplishments is breathtaking. He's blown up the deep state. He's proven the so-called experts completely wrong. His list of achievements almost endless. Meanwhile, promises made, promises kept.
This administration's moving at political light speed. Today, the flurry continues, and his Sharpie's working harder than Biden ever did.
We're asking you to just dream big. We're bringing it back. This will be America's new golden age.
That's not a joke. That's not a commentary on America. That's not like a sketch or an elaborate bit. This is a real thing that the White House posted. Fry emoji from the Golden Arches to the Golden Age. Burgers made, burgers kept. This is Burger Reich. This is fucking Burger Reich all the way.
Nancy. Thanks, Caroline. This morning, President Trump accused 6 Democratic lawmakers of seditious behavior punishable by death. Just to be clear, does the president want to execute members of Congress?
No. Let's be clear about what the president is responding to.
Bro, every time, okay. I will say, Hong Kong is so sick. Hong Kong is so amazing. Every time I hear some fuck shit coming from the TV screen, the computer screen from America, I just walk out there and I just stare off into the distance and I just bring it back. Okay? Like when I hear members of the media be like, is the president saying he wants to murder members of Congress from the opposition party? I just have to look outside and look at the port and look at all the fucking ships out there in the periphery and just recenter myself. And it sucks because I have 2 more days of this, and then after that I have to be stuck in Los Angeles, California again. I feel like every day I wake up with a concussion. I'm pretty sure this administration is giving me brain damage. Everything is so dumb and bad. I mean, remember, this whole saga started with me in Japan. I escaped to Japan shortly after the inauguration, and it was the same exact bullshit back then. And now I have escaped to China, and it's still the same exact bullshit, if not worse. Things just keep getting worse. Think about it. It is 11/20/2025, okay? That means I left the country on January 20th, 2025. It has been 11 months of nonsense. 11 months of nonsense. Just think about that. Beginning of the year, I escaped the country during the inauguration. I was in Japan covering fucking American bullshit. It hasn't even been a full year. 11 months of non-stop bullshit, bro. And there are 3 more years of this. Where do we go from here? Where do we go? 11 months feels like 11 fucking years at this point. And seemingly, it's only getting worse.
Because many in this room want to talk about the president's response, but not what brought the president to responding in this way. You have sitting members of the United States Congress who conspired together to orchestrate a video message to members of the United States military, to active duty service members, to members of the national security apparatus, encouraging them to defy the president's lawful orders. The sanctity of our military rests on the chain of command. And if that chain of command is broken, it can lead to people getting killed. It can lead to chaos. And that's what these members of Congress who swore an oath to abide by the Constitution are essentially encouraging. We have 1.3 active duty service members in this country. And if they hear this radical message from sitting members of Congress, that could inspire chaos and it could incite violence and it certainly could disrupt the chain of command. These 3 members of Congress, I will also add, knew exactly what they were doing. You look at Alyssa Slotkin. She's a former member of the CIA. Mark Kelly was a captain in the U.S. Navy. Maggie Goodlander was a naval officer. And notably, she is also the wife of Joe Biden's national security former advisor, Jake Sullivan. And so these members knew what they were doing. They were leading into their credentials as former members of our military, as veterans, as former members of the national security apparatus to signal to people serving under this commander-in-chief, Donald Trump, that you can defy him and you can betray your oath of office. That is a very, very dangerous message, and it perhaps is punishable by law. I'm not a lawyer. I'll leave that to the Department of Justice and the Department of War to decide.
But the president has frequently, but Caroline, can I just follow up? The president and the vice president, for that matter, have accused the other side of encouraging political violence. Isn't that exactly what the president is doing when he says that members of...
Yeah. A bunch of Democrats say, hey, it is your responsibility to refuse to follow an unlawful order. Trump turns around and goes, hey, I don't like that because I like giving unlawful orders to the military. So I think the military should kill you. How is, like, this is the endless dynamic that frustrates, I assume, anyone that has a brain, right? It fucking pisses me off that this is the consistent position of the Republicans all the time. Something that you have done, I will do tenfold, and somehow you are worse than me for doing it. I will take something that you did And I will claim it's the most illegal thing that anyone could ever say or do. And I will then double down on the exact same thing I'm blaming you of doing. Think about it. It's like, it's the same principle behind Donald Trump being like, I never hid documents. The government came after me inappropriately. They claimed I hid classified intelligence in the Mar-a-Lago facilities, only to fucking turn around and be like, but Biden absolutely did do that, and he should be in prison for it. Well, between you and Brandon, he actually cooperated with the authorities. You didn't. All right. Chuck Schumer is tackling anti-Semitism, calling on Nick Fuentes. I mean, I agree, but I don't know to what degree of success this will have. And I suspect that the Republicans will probably try to fucking tack me onto this bill as well because they're stupid. And Chuck Schumer will probably go along with it. Who knows? Let's see.
Dangerous tipping point. Jewish Americans are facing threats, harassment, and violence at levels we have not seen in generations. And as I have said many times in this chamber, anti-Semitism is the canary in the coal mine. Where there's anti-Semitism, there lurks white supremacy and other pernicious forms of hate. Well, 3 days ago, the President of the United States declined to condemn Nick Fuentes' hateful views and defended Tucker Carlson's decision to give Fuentes a platform. The President was asked about his thoughts on the interview. He declined to condemn Nick Fuentes. That is disgusting. For Donald Trump to excuse and protect the spread of Nick Fuentes' ideology confirms what many of us have long said. White supremacy and anti-Semitism are taking deep roots, unfortunately, within the Republican Party. Just as we saw from the leaked texts of young Republicans, just as we saw from text messages of administration officials, the Nick Fuentes saga on the right reveals that anti-Semitism and white supremacy have been growing with disturbing currency within the right wing and within the right wing of the Republican Party. But I know this is not true of everyone on the Republican side, especially not for many Republicans in this chamber. Therefore, I will soon lead a resolution here in the Senate rejecting Nick Fuentes and his white supremacist views, condemning Carlson's platforming of hate, and condemning anti-Semitism and white supremacy wherever and whenever it occurs. In the coming days,
I feel like this literally boosts Nick Fuentes' profile. I don't think they understand how this shit works anymore. It seems like a bad idea to make a resolution about a single individual like this. Yeah, you're just going to boost your profile? Exactly. Yep. I think this is, like, I don't even fucking know how to deal with this issue at all. But I will tell you, I think this just boosts his profile. That's all it does. Our establishment has no idea how to handle Fuentes and the rise of Nazism on the right. They're weak. They're past their sell date and clueless. They will continue to take money from their donors, ignore the will of the people, send our money to wars abroad, and encourage inequality, meanwhile trying to silence dissent. A perfect storm to strengthen the fringes and bring about the collapse of America. Absolutely dumbest thing to do. Shows that folks like Schumer, and there are people like him on both sides, know absolutely nothing about this moment and are not equipped to handle it. Stupid, stupid, stupid. I'm assuming Schumer is doing this for a political purpose in the hopes that some Republicans won't vote for it, and then he can point to them as part of the problem. But what this does is galvanize Nick and gives him reason to tell his supporters, see, look what they're doing to try and silence us. This also makes Nick's supporters believe he's on the right track, and this will tip people who are on the fence regarding Nick and move them over to his side. The proper way to deal with someone like Nick Fuentes is to provide a viable alternative. But because the viable alternative has to still be anti-Israel, these guys will never do that. If anything, they think they can probably utilize the Nick Fuentes the Nick Fuentes situation to Republicans who also hate Nick Fuentes and are worried about Nick Fuentes, not because he's anti-Semitic, but because he's anti-Semitic and anti-Israel, will then turn around and try to tack on other anti-Israel people on the left to this bill. And just as there are plenty of mainstream Republicans who despise Nick Fuentes, there are plenty of mainstream Democrats who despise people like myself. And of course, the appropriate measure to dealing with someone like Nick Fuentes is to turn around and, like I said, offer an alternative. Not to fucking. There's nothing you can do at this point. Okay, people are anti-Israel, cats out of the fucking bag. That's why I always say, like, anti-Zionism is here. It's happening. It's either going to happen in an anti-Semitic manner or it's going to happen in a non-anti-Semitic manner. It's up to the adults. It's up to the adults to figure out which way they want to go. But they cannot stop the anti-Israel sentiment, especially amongst the youth. And they certainly can't do that through legislation regardless. This is from 3 days ago. Nick, imagine how Charlie Kirk would feel about Trump dining with Epstein. Charlie Kirk knew about it, and he didn't give a shit. He was completely corrupt, just like Trump was.
With Epstein. So sad and embarrassing for all of Trump's supporters.
Of course, he knew. He didn't give a shit. What do you mean, imagine if he knew? You know, I'm really sick of this idea that Charlie was some kind of idealist.
Oh! This fucking dipshit. This booger eating gay Mexican Nazi, days after Charlie Kirk's assassination, was complaining about my coverage and the way I was talking about Charlie Kirk. And now, a month later, now that all of his fucking fans are Kirkifying at an alarming rate, he turns around and he's like, oh, damn, Charlie Kirk was not an idealist. Oh, now he remembered. What happened? What the fuck happened? I thought I was being disrespectful to Charlie Kirk's memory. What the fuck happened, bro?
Do you think Turning Point made $140 million a year because Charlie was an idealist? He was everything to everyone. He was something different to every different person he dealt with. And he was completely corrupt, just like Trump was.
Remember, he said, yeah, you need to cry for Charlie, he said. I need to be crying for Charlie Kirk, he said. Look at this fucking switch up. Is that why you've been compared to Nick Fuentes? No, I get compared to Nick Fuentes because dumb fuck losers, dumb fuck Zionists desperately want someone like myself not to get fucking positive media coverage because my position is anti-Israel. Okay? And I've been there. I've been there from the beginning. And they can't stand it. They can't stand that there's a dude out there who gets positive profiles in mainstream outlets who they can't fucking turn around and silence. They hate that shit. They want that shit not to be the case. They want me to also... I mean, Nick Fuentes is even getting fucking major profiles at this point. But they're obviously not as positive. But they hate that there is like a person like myself who is talking to Democratic Party politicians, openly operating within the confines of one of the two mainstream parties, who holds the majority position on Israel. Let's be real, right? A position that that Zionists never thought would become the majority position. And they just cannot fucking deal with it at all. So they just fling shit at the wall and hope that it sticks. Is Nick really gay? I've seen him simp for Candace Owens in clips. Yeah, I mean, he does not have a consistent fucking bone in his body, okay? The new hater meta is claiming every profile is a PR psyop. Yeah. Fuentes is trying to latch onto your nuts now, basically saying we're all a part of the same team. Yeah, I saw this shit. I saw a clip of this.
And progressives, Zoran, Hassan, Anna Kasparian, we're all saying something like America first, stop the genocide. But the Jewish community, right and left,
I don't want to fucking see this shit, okay? Yeah, okay, listen. There is no we here, okay? We are not on the same fucking team. My primary focus has never been identifying marginalized communities or groups of people that are not a part of the in-group to claim that they need to be forcibly excised from the American public. I don't give a shit about people's national identities, ethnicity, religious opinions, their backgrounds. These are all spiritual concepts that I don't think serve any purpose beyond, consolidation, beyond a sense of community, maybe a North Star for some people if we're talking about religion, a way to create social cohesion. And there is utility in this. Ultimately, though, I care first and foremost about people, okay? Improving people's lives regardless of where they're born, regardless of what their fucking background is, and even regardless of what their worldview is, right? That's why I always say I care about universality. When I'm talking about domestic issues in the United States of America, I say I care about universal principles. universal policies, universality in the sense that, like, I want Medicare for all, which includes Medicare for Nazis as well, because I care about people first and foremost, improving and uplifting material conditions for every single person. We have the capacity to do so. All of this other shit, sexual identity, gender, ethnicity, nationality, religion, even political opinions, all of that other stuff is irrelevant to me, okay? It's completely irrelevant to me. Ew, I hate you when you say that. It doesn't matter. It's just how it is, okay? That's what I believe. I think a lot of people don't understand that. A lot of people don't understand that that is my worldview. That's what I believe in. If you spend any moment, any time whatsoever, you just got cooked there, brother. Okay, whatever. If you spend any fucking moment talking about how, like, it's actually the migrants that are disrupting American society. It's actually the Jews, the organized Jewry that's actually controlling every lever of power in American society. This is childish. Okay, this is stupid. There is no idealistic organized unit. It's all class, okay? It's capitalism. Just as there are Jewish capitalists, Jewish capital owners, there are plenty of Christian capital owners who operate on the same fucking boundaries. They operate and abide by their own class position and their own class interests. That's it. Trying to foment enmity towards Jews or towards migrants or towards any group of individual beyond is silly. It's unproductive. It's a distraction. And at worst, if it turns into policy, it is morally repugnant and it's violent. This is why I get very frustrated with people, like even with Nick Fuentes' clip, that one clip where he's like, you know, the populist left and the populist right need to get together and you know, the populist left need to drop the immigration stuff and the populist right need to drop the capitalism stuff. It's like, brother, what the fuck are you talking about? One is an economic organization of society that is the hegemonic, domineering force that has been the singular force, the singular economic system post the dissolution of the fucking USSR, and the other is like an idea that was born out of your own selfish and racially motivated desires to maintain some semblance of racial purity that you don't even fucking abide by because you're Mexican. You know, it's so fucking stupid. These two things are not comparable. It is actually just capitalism that has caused people to identify themselves as all of these different things, like all of these different ways of seeing themselves. That is somehow all of these different people from different tribes are actually ruining American society. It's not the case. The most cynical version of this ideology, of course, is the same reason why, at a time when socialism was at its peak popularity, the Nazis saying that they were also socialists, but they were socialists for the in-group, the folk. You are being class reductive? No, I'm not. Because this does not mean that there isn't any emphasis on marginalized identities that are being dominated, okay? Because, as I always like to say, white supremacy designs its targets on the virtues or on the signifiers of race, but the violence that race is subjected to is still the exact same violence that you see as class violence, okay? Redlining is a great example of this. In my opinion, redlining is a perfect example of this, right? Redlining is class violence, but it is specifically targeted towards black people. And therefore, you cannot cast aside white supremacy and simply say, oh, we're all working class. When you are organizing, you can do that, okay? But depending on who you're organizing with. In a national campaign, you have to obviously target the broadest base of support and focus on affordability and stuff like that. But when you're actually communicating these issues to the communities that are seeing an additional amount of violence, you have to talk to them on this basis as well. No one is casting aside racism as a major factor here. But even racialized violence is, even racist violence, white supremacist violence is still being dished out at the systematic level in the exact same ways that class violence operates. It is a factor that actually ends up, like, racialized violence or racism and white supremacy is a what's the term for it? It's a not self-reinforcing and not a compounding factor. Thank you. It's a compounding factor. And I think it is important for us never to cast aside bigotry. But also, I think simply just saying like, oh, this is class reductionism or whatever, is stupid.